live in it. Man, the humidity level must be fairly high in here. Everything is wilty upside.
Whoops.
Citizens forum?
For the day.
Anyone? Nope. Report, superintendent evaluation and contract committee. I'm part of that. I don't know how much, everyone got a copy of the, well actually you got everything, but you also have the crib note version of the results.
And that's, you mean in our file right now?
No, it was in our email.
Oh.
Yep.
That was a little chart board put together.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a spreadsheet, and then this final one just took it's the motion, it took each category and just averaged the scores of the category. I don't know what you guys want to do, just go over, you want to say each item, or did you guys look it over, or any questions? I guess that's really the first place to start.
When you sent it out, and then reviewed it again in the board packet.
Okay. So I think the biggest thing our superintendent got dinged on was the liaison with the community a bit better. Is my takeaway from the results. Anyone, anything else they want to add or comment or?
Well, I think it became not a sore subject, a sensitive subject, just because we are going to the community financially, and we just wanted, 100% effort going on that. So I don't think he does a poor job of liaison with the community, but I think we have to do more this next 6 to 8 months. And so if we push it a little bit, maybe I think that's what those numbers probably reflect, is that, hey, we need to make this happen. We do too, but so does he.
Yep. And I guess it was, I will put into the record that it was on a scale of 1 to 5. The number 2 was could use improvement or needs improvement. So, it doesn't take too much. I mean, really with that scale, anything above a 3 is doing very well, in my opinion. 3, you meet the standards we expect. Anything above that, you're doing fantastic. And anything slightly below that just means improvement. So that's the way I look at it. Anyone else? That probably summarizes the evaluation. I guess we can go to the contract portion of it. What did, I've heard multiple things about the contract. Any questions? We've had copies of it sent out. Yes.
I'm going to throw that out there if people want to discuss stuff about it. But I've had a couple of calls from people who are wondering about the contract, so I think it's fair to open it up to some public discussion. My first question is, historically, we've done a 3-year contract, correct? And this one, I don't know if that occurred during the course of your time in discussion with them, but was reduced to 2 years, or at least the offer, was a 2-year contract, correct?
Well, I think we were behind. Was
No,
that the issue?
No, we should be right on target.
We're right on track right now. Yep.
Yep.
So this is,
But this would put
the 30th is the end of my current contract.
Right.
So July 1, I would need to enter into another, we'd have to have another contract for July 1.
And the motivation for dropping it to a 2-year contract was?
A lot of it has to do with the buildings and grounds position. And we're doing a 1 year because of the freeze on hires and expenditures. We've divided up that position for this coming school year. And then that's not part of the actual superintendent contract, but it's tied to it. So the board, if you look at the memorandum of understanding that was in the packet, I'm not sure if it's in your file, but it was in the packet along with the contract. That's set up as a 1 or a 2-year memorandum, and that explains the extra duties and time and the stipend. But it also has in there you could decide to fill it in September and that MOU would not be in effect then. So that's kind of gives the board flexibility if something's not working well. You want to make a change with the custodials and maintenance.
Or if an opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So,
So you're not tied to that. But the superintendent, the part-time 80% position is for a 2-year contract is what we're looking at.
So again, just to repeat that, I don't know if people heard that, but 80% of that is now superintendent.
The superintendent position is 80%.
80% of that contract. The memorandum of understanding, which is attached to it and has you as the buildings and grounds supervisor, has
Part of the duties.
but is a separate add-on that can be removed when and if. I mean, I think one of the concerns I got out of here was we're asking the public for more money for building infrastructure, for trying to renew some windows and concrete and whatnot. And when we get to that point where that money starts coming in, it makes sense to me that I am not belittling your talents, but that we find somebody who's makes that work. And I know we don't start seeing that tax money till 2026, correct? Early in the year. So that's still about a year and a half out, even if everything goes according to what we'd like to see in November. So.
Yep. You still have the flexibility if you want to go outside.
Right.
But it also gives internally an opportunity for people to show what they can do.
and I guess I'd like to point out that our superintendent specifically wrote the contract or recommended the contract on that exactly, that it would allow the board a lot of flexibility.
Right, and I appreciate that financially you backed into a part-time situation, not part-time, but 80% on a superintendent's role, understanding the administrative costs got to diminish along with the school enrollment. So I thank you for being open-minded with that. And the contract does allow you other potential avenues too, for instance, substitute bus driving, substitute teaching, coaching, some different roles in the school. So I thank you for adding on there, and I think the whole thing adds up to a cost savings, which is what we've been looking for the last 6 months anyway.
Yeah, I think the add backs were calculated, and that was in your board packet. I think the superintendent position, just the salary is about a $24,000 savings for the district.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall with everything combined, by combining the buildings and grounds and the other roles with other people and everything, it was, what was the savings? It seems like it was.
It's 43,000 total.
43,000 total.
With everything included. So again, thank you for doing that. And I'm going to throw out the awkward questions because I told you I would, but we reduced it from 3 to 2. We're going into a cycle here where we're looking for, public to offer us some money. We're also looking at 3 potential board positions changing, through re-election. There are 3 of us who are up for re-election in November. Was there any discussion on a 1-year contract?
Not in the committee meeting. We didn't even consider it. I quite
It
frankly
was,
didn't even
it was
think about
brought up, but it was not considered.
All right. And is there a reason that we should not look at a 1-year contract? I mean, an offer. I mean, I'm not sure Jeff would take it either, and that's the other part of that. It's not like I want to threaten him and get him lost in this too, but if we reduce from 3 to 2, we obviously must have been looking at something that said, all right, we need to shorten this up. It's a different contract for sure. I mean, 8.8 times supervisor or superintendent, you've got a lot of little cogs that are being added in there again. Is there discussion that we should do, a 1 or a 2?
I did have somebody bring that up to me from the community, just questioning, especially with the election year happening and stuff, but I guess.
I'm up
that'd be
for
my-
re-election in the year. That's why I feel obliged to bring it up,
Me too.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm being shy about that.
And, yeah, I guess my question was, is there a reason to go for 2 or 3 or 1, is there a standard or?
Most are two
Most
and
are
3
2.
years.
I think since I've been on, it's always been 3, hasn't it? I mean, yours has always been a 3.
Is Mary's a 2?
Pardon me?
Was Mary's a
Mary's
2?
a
I can't
2.
remember.
Two
Mary's is a 2.
Teachers are all
She's a
2
2.
years.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
only 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
But
It's all this,
It's a code red.
Oh,
yeah, that's all the storm stuff.
hail and winds.
So right now, the contract says, so the reduction to a 2-year contract, and in terms of the money, obviously, there's a savings, so that's why I'm sort of pausing on this ledge. Like I said, I feel like Jeff's done a capable job, and I know that, we're always holding that over your head, saying, okay, things got to go right or wrong in the school, or it's your fault. I don't see the financial situation as anything that could have been different. I think we're as much to blame as he is. I mean, we've been overseeing this as well, and I think all over the state. I mean, you read the article in the Tribune yesterday morning, everything rurally is just really struggling to make these ends meet. And I know that what you've asked us to do parallels everything that I'm reading, at least in the press, about how things are getting done. I know that there was some unhappiness on the social worker reduction, but apparently around the state, that's one of the first spots to go, where if you're just understaffed or overstaffed a little bit, you tend to bop to the other side of it, and that's what's happened there. You see other places going a little further, even like the Thief Rivers, where they're not busing within 2 miles of the school anymore, so I know there's even more creative stuff going on, but reducing their their athletic stuff by 20% on all the way across the board, in terms of hockey games and basketball games and whatnot.
I also noted that the community raised money in Thief River to fund another teacher position.
Okay, they did that independently of the school? Okay, I mean, those opportunities are out there.
I'm sure that it was probably class size. I don't know for sure. I just thought.
And again, I don't want to get off to the side, because like I said, I think what I'm getting at is Jeff has asked us to do what's going on in every other school district.
Yes,
and it's
exactly,
painful,
and that was why I added that,
Yeah.
and that community's input I thought was admirable.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at a 2-year contract and understanding that any money we get out of a potential referendum passing is not going to show up. Does it show up in January of 2026? Is that how that works, Sheena? I mean, we would start seeing the benefits of a bonding bill in 2026.
Following school year, so it's the, 25, 26 school year.
Okay, but it wouldn't take place until
the
January.
capital projects levy or an operating levy would show up the following school year. If the bond, so whenever the bond sales take place, so that timeline might be a little bit different than the levy.
But it would not be until,
August.
not
It
this
can't
school,
be
not the
until
school year we're
taxes
approaching, but
payable.
the next one.
26.
August 2025. Right?
Yeah.
So basically 9 months-ish. Lot time. 11 months after the contract.
I just felt 2 years was a good spot, because we got him locked in for 2 years at that reduced rate, and the fact that his superintendent contract is completely separate from his buildings and grounds. So we can adjust that at any time, and instead of doing 1 year and then fumbling through another contract or seeing where we're at, I just felt 2 was good, instead of locking in 3 and knowing where our financial might be.
Right, well, it gives us time for adjustment, because January 26th is 18 months away, so almost to the end of that contract. So I'm just trying to, and let's just look at the reality of it. If Tim Lyon runs in November and the public has the right and the opportunity to not only vote him out of there, because if he feels, that I was responsible for some of the financial woes of this community or this school, to vote me out of there, but to vote that capital projects levy in, for instance. I mean, so you'd have that double-edged sword where you could take me down and put that in, knowing that you'll have somebody different to go ahead and look at that money. I know that sounds a little convoluted, but that's opportunities there for a voter right now. So I'm not going to feel bad about somebody who complains that I signed a 2-year contract for Jeff, is my point. I think there's some logic there again, because we're sort of all lumped in this together. But there
And I
is
would
a,
hope people would look at our history, not just my 10 years as superintendent, but also your tenure as board members. We've gone through some tough times, and we've gotten through them stronger and better afterwards. It's very easy to want to push blame and punish people. And I will take whatever blame should be on me. But I hope people would look at what I've done in 28 plus years in this community in different roles. And I think, give me a chance. I mean, I think we have a plan, a roadmap to get out of the financial strain we are. And we'll be looking at the budget here when Sheena talks about it, so.
At this point, I would like to, again, bring up for the record and anybody listening that Jeff Nelson brought up well over a year ago that we were gonna be going into financial difficulties. We started making, and by we, I actually mean more Jeff, brought things to the board, recommended certain cuts that were going to have to be made. And the foresight lessened, quite frankly, the impact of it. I mean, I guess it's the
lessens the impact this year.
yeah, lessen the impact for this year. So again, and I think we had a committee meeting, that's why, or a group meeting, and we had faith in our superintendent. So, yeah, just.
Well, and two, I want to bring up, so when I started, it was June 2022. So then I jump in, whip out a budget when the last 5-6 months haven't been reconciled. It's really hard to have an accurate budget when financially we haven't been updated in many months. So it's really hard for the board and superintendent to even make a decision at that point. You're kind of going into that school year.
well, I guess that's what I'm looking at when I ask those questions about 2 versus 1. I think, it's half of one, half of the other, because we're halfway through at the 18-month juncture when the money starts coming in. So I am comfortable saying I would vote for a 2-year contract. Keep that going, understanding that within 6 months or 5 months of that year contract would be done beyond that too. So if there was a different person sitting in this board chair and wanted to make that change, the change would almost be coincidental and appropriate with the money coming in, and you could look at that differently. So, I mean, I'm comfortable with it at the moment, and I'm not going to push for a 1 year. I just wanted to make sure we had that discussion. And I'm happy that you saw 2, because I do think that we're looking at that kind of a juncture in our timeline now.
Any other discussion, comments? Anybody else want to say anything about this topic?
I don't think so, no. Tim, I appreciate your commentary there. That was something I wanted to have discussed more, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think the election is a big deal in terms of the referendum or the, capital, but also in terms of the board changeover. And I think and the public's been more vocal probably over the last 6 months than we've encountered over the last 4 or 5 years. They've been out there, and so time to step up and make decisions about your school district, really. Whether you want the funding to go through, whether you want, different people on the board, whether you want different things going on. So I'm not burdening them with any of that.
Anyone else? And that's it, then we'll move on. School forest?
Lack of quorum. Did I get that right, Woody? We didn't have a quorum.
We met, but half the committee wasn't even, couldn't make it.
Okay.
So we did discuss some things ranging from the
Just
wetness
help.
out there to the getting the skids off of the shelter out there to
Parsnip.
the wild parsnip, to Corinne's attack on the wild parsnip.
Yeah, it's big.
We
It's
got
all over.
And we talked driver's ed at one point.
And we also can thank the Soil Water Conservation District for donating over $600 to pay for transportation costs for
Oh,
our kids in the bog, so thanks to them.
I'll pass that on.
Is that part of the driver's ed, kids driving through the bog or something? The forest committee discussing driver's ed, driving through the forest. So, okay, and buildings and grounds, but we postponed that meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't have the meeting.
Schedule that. I think in July I'll have, maybe have Kyle and Dale report, just give a summer update. I know they've been working hard. The elementary hallways have been stripped and waxed. I know they're working on getting our buses ready for TOT inspection. John will be training in a couple new drivers, hopefully,
One dangerous one.
if I can pass the test. So they've been really working hard, and I'll be talking about a custodial addition that's really helped us to stay caught up with mowing and having bulb fields ready to go for games, not just here, but at the city. But things are coming together and working quite well.
We'll ask about windows. Have we been able to
Yes.
get contact with?
Kyle has been working pretty hard on getting some quotes, and that was one of the things we were gonna update at the next meeting. But no, he has some information on that. He's been working hard on that, so, yeah.
Okay, anyone else got anything committee-wise or anything else?
Just a committee that hasn't met for a while, but the arena committee, is that?
yeah, we haven't met,
We haven't met for a long time.
yeah, probably a year at least, so,
Probably wouldn't hurt to meet.
yeah.
That's a, I mean, I don't know, is it?
Do you have a concern about something, or?
No, just kind of some of the transitional stuff, and especially with wintertime maintenance coming up and things like that, and buildings and grounds, that there's a little bit of a shift there, and school does serve a role for them.
You're talking about the joint committee with the
Yeah.
arena board and, okay.
Well, I think so.
Yep. Well, this would be a good time during the summer to meet when they're not making ice. And
Yeah, ice starts up on the 5th of August, so we better get going if we're gonna do it without ice in there.
I'll reach out to, I believe it's Keith Block,
Mike Schultz.
Mike Schultz.
He might be busy.
Yeah. Pick a rainy day.
Okay.
It's not been difficult lately.
And I think it'd be basically our buildings and grounds committee. We would be on that arena board as far as board members, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think,
It'd be Lynn.
Pretty much
Yeah.
was, yeah. So that would be a simple way to do it. Does anyone know, like their roof is new enough, but, have they contacted anybody about, like, we have our roofs inspected every so many years? Have they? I
The
mean, it's,
next time the guy comes up, we're gonna sit down and try hashing out a 15 to 20-year game plan on this roof. They're here usually yearly, well, it was under warranty, to look for cracks where the birds like to eat at it, bubbles. They did some resealing on it in a couple areas twice last year. I got a bunch of cracks up there I gotta go get sealed yet, but they are expected to be through here this summer.
how about, does the arena know that they should be having the roof inspected? I mean, it's on them, but they may want to pay attention to it.
They got a different type of roof than we got.
we got rubber and gravel up there.
No, we just
Question
got
for
a
the
rubber.
committee, yeah?
Yeah, well, there's some gravel in the corners,
No,
but
there's no gravel.
Community meeting question right there.
on that one lower one,
I don't think there is.
you know what I'm talking, that hip roof? I think there's, I don't,
No, there's a ton of patches.
I've never
on it,
been up
but
there in the summer, so.
Sounds like Tim wants to go up there and take a look at
Yeah.
this one
go
of
up
these
there and
nights.
inspect.
No, I go up there in the winter, we've had leaks in it, but it is rubberized, you know, and we had a guy locally go up and reseal the, you know, the parts where we knew it was leaking, just had roofing tar or something up there, but we haven't had a professional go up and look at it.
Yeah, ours was inspected every year while it was under warranty. You know, the company themselves come up, and their technicians would look at it. Otherwise, once it's off warranty, nobody really looks at it.
What do you guys do?
We do.
Yeah. So, again, that's, not really our responsibility, but we may want to tell
Well,
them that
the same inspector can do both roofs, you could probably say, so.
they may want to look at it.
One is a styrofoam and urethane based, and one is just a rubber membrane, so I don't know if, I think North Central Insulation, just as the styrofoam roofs, they may not do a rubber membrane roof. Be neat if they did, you could one-stop shop.
All right, anyone else? I digress there, so if anybody else wants to digress, we'll go into the superintendent's report.
I'm going to start off with just a couple agenda things. What I was trying to explain to Mr. Johnson was there's a couple items. There's the notice for filing dates for election, and that's item H. And then item L is set board meeting for Monday, July 15th at 5 p.m. Those aren't action items, so when he gets to those, that'll be just informational. And then there's a new item, S, approval of insurance and risk management proposal. And this is from Valor. And on your table file is the proposal. There wasn't a lot of changes from last year's. It's actually about a $940 some savings from last year. We did up some of our premiums from 2,000 to 5, or from 5 to 10,000. From 5 to 10,000. So our 23-24 premium cost for property and workers' compensation last year was $110,943, and this year's for 24-25 is $110,094 with a little bit higher deductible. So, any questions on that? We also went through North Risk, another North Risk Partners. They do all of our health insurance, and they went out and looked for some quotes for us also. And the best one that they had was around $116,000. One was 116, and then with the higher deductible, like 112.
112,000 for a.
Yeah. So we went with the most affordable package. So. Our end of the year enrollment for K-12 was down 4 students. We're at 425 students. Hopefully in end of July, hopefully we'll have a good number for some projections as far as our enrollment. So far this summer, we've had 4 new elementary students enroll, and we have 1 transfer out. And then in the high school, we have 2 new enrollments. So we kind of keep track when we have people leave or come in. So
is that not included in the 25, right?
that's not included. So the 425, that was K-12 end of May numbers. Daycare lease agreements are in the board packet. We went from $110 to $175 a month. We're going with a 2-year lease at the same rate. It's about a 60% increase. I looked at, we do some other rental spaces. We have the Lake Woods Extension 4-H group that rents an office space and part of our fax room. From time to time, we charge $500 a month for that. Paul Bunyan Transit we charge $335 for their rental space in the bus garage. I reached out to Sherry Staybacken at Social Services to see if she had any insight, but we're unique with having this partnership with private daycare providers. Several years ago, we did look at running our own program, and I can dig up that information. I know you've brought it up before, Boyd. And I'd have to look at the organization that we worked with. It was with social services, and they did an in-depth study on if it would be feasible, and it would be very hard for us to be able to charge enough to run a program because there's more requirements. You have to have a director, and there's more hoops to jump through. So having 4 daycares in the building at this time, I think, is the best deal we can do as far as meeting that need in the community. Stephanie Head, I contacted her, and she rents the First Lutheran Church. And her cost, was willing to share it with me, is $390 a month. But when we talked about the square footage that she's renting, and they have a fenced-in playground that they have full access to, that's kind of what I used as a basis for coming up with 175. It's a little less than half of what Stephanie is renting, but it's about half the square footage. So it's not a money maker or intended to be a money maker. Part of it is providing the service to the community, but I think it'll cover the district's cost. So I think that's the most important thing. But the community service piece is important. You know, when we had to upgrade some of our fire alarm systems, that did not come out of our general fund. That was the county and some fundraising to pay for those expenses. So I think 175 is fair. I've reached out to the daycare providers, and they feel it's reasonable also. So we'll be approving those. Audit dispute, we were able to get it down to 2,500. That's a small victory, I guess you could say, but in the scheme of things.
I think it's half the price, right?
Yeah, about half. So we got a little bit of a moral victory. I didn't think it would be worth any additional lawyer fees or staff time to pursue it, so they met us halfway. Staffing update, we've hired Jonathan Mesenbrink. He'll be approving that formally tonight at step 3B6, $19.83 an hour, and this is to fill Dawn Olson, who retired. In the summer she did full-time custodial work, and right now this is just a summertime position. We'll see where we're at in this fall, whether we need to continue with a half-time or if we can cover with what we have. That'll be our first choice. Add-backs is in your board packet. We're looking at approximately $425 just in salary reductions for fiscal year 25, about $740,000 total in reductions. Business manager position. At our last finance committee meeting, we were discussing the pros and cons of going out and looking for our own business manager and go away from contracted services. There's pros and cons to both of them. I think it's worth going out to see if we have a candidate that would be able to take on that position. And this has nothing to reflect on Sheena. She's done a tremendous job getting us back on track financially and with our accounting process. And it's really, even Todd has stepped up and given us a significant cost savings. And he's been working with us also. It's not a reflection on that. It's just, this might be a good time to see what are the options, if there are any, that we can take a look at. So I'd like the board to give me the directive to at least advertise for a business manager. And we have until, I think our contract with SMS goes into October. So we might get some candidates, or we might not get any candidates, or we might get some candidates and feel that our best option is to stay with SMS. At least we should look at some options.
Well, I have a question, just a clarification question, because Sheena is dedicated to Lake of the Woods 20 hours a week, right?
Right now, we're paying 20 hours
Right.
a week.
And then, of
But
course, for Todd's backup too.
Yep,
But,
yep.
but if we hire someone, then we would have a full-time, I'm not saying, any conditions or whatever, but it would be a full-time.
I think that it'd be most likely someone that would be working with one district.
Yeah, with one district all the time.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask that question. to
Would
see.
you look at it? You're thinking a full-time position though, like a 40-hour? Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you need approval and a motion, or you just?
No, I'm gonna advertise, so you won't be surprised if I say we're gonna have a hiring
Because we would
committee.
still have to be,
Yep.
the hiring would still
Yep.
have to be approved.
And I think in the past, it's always been the finance committee and myself that have been part of that process. So we'll advertise, see what we get for candidates, and we'll go from there. Any other questions? Jill sent out information for school board elections. The end of the term is December 30th. District 2 would be Boyd's is up and Tim is up for District 5, and Corinne Trask is up for District 3. June 30th to August 13th is the date for candidates to file. And also in my report, I listed some other campaign finance dates and stuff. So we'll get that listed on our website.
Can you be specific at that time? I'm looking at Jill when I say that as to, like, if somebody wanted to file for candidacy, how they determine which district they're in? Is there?
We have some maps. I think they're on the website too.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was brought up during our public meetings, was the maps, and it's hard to tell, but
The maps are hard.
does the.
Unless you live in the middle of the district, then it's
Right.
easy, but if you're on the line, then we get a hold of Eric Tangy at the courthouse, and he's got a better view as far as what the cutoff is on
Well,
that street.
and we were looking at school districts, we were talking about open enrollment, just a conversation. And the school district does not, or like District 390 does not follow the county line.
No.
It's not even
So
close.
it's not even close. So it's, people think it does. People think it goes all the way to the edge of Lake of the Woods County, but I said it doesn't.
No.
And I don't know if it does on the east edge or not. I
On
didn't
the
look
west
at
side,
that.
it's like Blueberry Hill.
Yeah,
East side is around Clemenson, but of course it's not, nothing's a straight line around
right.
this country.
But I
so,
mean,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying is, that's closer to the county line than the west edge of the county, or west edge of the 390.
Yep.
I think on that, I was just pulling up the county's beacon site, and they have.
You can pull it up by school district there.
They have an overlay for that?
Yeah, and their administrative boundaries, you could turn on school board districts, and then you can see like parcel by parcel, so you could get really dialed in there. So that would be an option to send people to this, the beacon on the county's website. I almost think that the link might already be there on the school's website.
We'll get that
Is that on the
address and we'll
website?
stick that on there as well.
And then they'd have to turn on that overlay, but that's,
Could
Thank you for
maybe
that.
post it with directions
yeah.
or something.
All right. Referendum survey, that went out last week.
Do you know how many people have responded so far?
As of last Friday, I don't have an update today. There were 145, I think Saturday there was 174. I just sent out another announcement today. I resent it to the radio stations as well, and asked them to do it a couple times in the next week. So it's open till June 30th. It's lakeofthewoodssurvey.org. I think predominantly the initial ones that came in were people that had direct ties to the school district. And so it's very important that we get people that don't have a direct tie to the district to fill out a survey, so we get a good sample of all of our community members.
And you're saying that because one of the questions is about, do you have kids in school?
Are you
Yeah.
employed by the district?
Well,
Yeah.
there's a couple that reference.
Yeah, we
If
have,
you have kids or no kids or.
yeah,
Okay.
if
Yeah,
you're an
there's one that
employee,
has a-
yeah.
There's one that has it.
Oh, maybe I just,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So
I think
there's
there's one
some questions like
when I
that,
did the
so that
sample
we
one.
can, yeah.
Right.
So and make sure as school board member, you can fill out the survey too. Don't forget to fill out your own
Even though you
survey.
filled out the sample one.
The sample one does not count, so that was just a test run, sorry.
And what was the number you were maybe looking for, the percentage of community members that you really wanted to get a good idea?
I would say that 400 to 500 would be kind of the bottom edge. 700 to 800 would be better.
Half would be awesome, but I don't think.
Half
we'll
would be
get
like
half.
600, right?
Yeah, normally we have about 1,200 people that
Yeah.
vote on these.
Maybe we
That's kind of been the history.
Because it's only
Yes.
open till like,
The end of this week,
June 30th,
which is like. is that
Sunday.
yeah.
Is that,
They like to run them over weekends.
yeah, is that hard and fast? I mean, is it like on pay for type of, I suppose on the 30th?
No, we'll reassess, and if we have to run it another week.
Yep.
I think the July 15th, which is the next thing on my list, is going to be, that's kind of a hard date.
Yeah.
So you have time.
But at the same time, it's like if they haven't done it yet, and it's pretty easy to access, I don't know why extending it. I guess we could leave it extended, it doesn't matter, but I'm not gonna hold my breath that
No.
more people are gonna.
And I'll send out another reminder probably Thursday, Friday.
But you gotta have faith they will, okay?
So
It'll all be like me on June 30th.
Yeah, exactly. There are those of us who wait till the last minute to do things.
Yeah.
So I'm just encouraging everyone to fill out the survey. Talk to your neighbor about filling out the survey. If you have family members that live in the district, have them fill it out. If you're sitting in church, talk to the person in the pew next to you and say, have you filled out your survey yet? And the word of the mouth is probably the best.
Just out of curiosity too, is, can you limit it to, like, keep people from somewhere else from doing it, or is there no way to control that? You know, think
That
with
I'd have to ask.
the computer IP, you probably
Yeah.
could,
but,
None
That's
of the,
not for
I don't
sure.
remember, none of the questions indicate
yeah.
if you're I can't remember if you're
No.
like permanent or seasonal here.
I mean, you wouldn't think so, but if somebody wanted to skew it, they could get pretty creative and just
Always get
get a bunch of people
Yeah.
they know who don't even live here.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't know. People don't like filling out surveys to begin with. I don't know if you want to do it to be spiteful, but you never know in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I also went to Rotary and spoke there, and I sent an email today encouraging them to spread the word, and I'm more than willing and would love to have individuals come and talk to me about it, or groups, or anyone, business owners, any of that.
Weather warnings. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
We're in a safe location.
yeah.
We're fine.
Where there's motorcycles.
I've gotten 2 phone
Yeah.
calls and like 6 text messages. I don't know what it looks like outside, but.
With this, like going to the Rotary or any other group, I guess I'll offer myself as only one, but if you want backup or additional punching bag, I know I would be happy to accompany you.
Yeah.
Open it up to the rest of the board members too.
I'm sure after July and when we move forward with whatever you people decide to move forward with, there'll be lots of opportunities to go out and visit with people but right now getting some direction from our community would be really helpful in making
Any
some
good insights from
decisions.
Rotary?
Pardon me?
Any good insights from Rotary?
Yeah, there's. Well, what did they say? I'm trying to
I
think.
think
A lot of it was
there were questions.
Questions.
You know, and just understanding what the three, like basically Jeff reviewed the survey and kind of gave a little bit more.
And I think the first thing I said, I asked if, have you heard about the survey? And I believe everyone but one person had either got the robocall or saw it on Facebook or heard it on the radio.
So the best
One person emailed me today that had no idea until she came to Rotary. Does read the newspaper, but didn't catch it on where that was at. So that's why I think just the word of mouth is going to be helpful.
The newspaper wasn't going to put any blurb about it. There wasn't anything last week because I haven't really looked at it.
It's in there. Yeah, I sent it and asked for them to post it twice, and it's.
Okay. So it was in
It's
last
like
week.
on the second to the last page. It's a little box on the bottom left hand. I was hoping it would have been on the first page headline, but it didn't make it to that page. But no, it was a good visit at Rotary, and people were honest. We had some business people there that said, "Well, I really don't know what I feel right now." But at least they were asking questions and open to listening so that they can think about it.
Well, good.
So.
I guess the only thing I've heard is people have taken the survey, some of them, but they thought that one of the big things is how much taxes have already increased. And, just the general tax, this year. I mean, I had a great bump in mine, and I'm guessing that other people did too, and that might play a negative part.
Yeah.
But the school doesn't really see a lot of those dollars.
No.
From those
Right.
taxes. Yeah.
No, a lot of that had to do with
Nothing to.
valuation,
Right.
market valuation.
Exactly, but I try not to start an argument when
Yep.
someone brings it up. And, there just is it's a no-win, so I just,
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with bringing it to the voters. I mean, we're all public servants, so we'll abide by their wishes and adjust accordingly. I did mention the Monday, July 15th, special meeting, 5 o'clock work for everyone. Summer hours, I think we have it posted now correctly. Basically, the general public will have access to the building 8 to 9, Monday through Saturday. We lock it up tight after 9 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
The main office is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. And then we're pretty much locking up the doors. Community members, for example, that have a weight room pass can use their fobs to get in. Or if there's an organization or a group that wants to have a game in the gym or something, they should be filling out a facility use form, and we'll make arrangements so that they can get in. But technically, the building's kind of locked up after 4 o'clock unless there's been special arrangements made. The exception would be the pool hours. So if the pool's open till 6 o'clock and there's birthday parties, the pool door would be open. And we have it posted on all the entrances, and it's up on the website as well.
Okay, I've got people that spend Saturday afternoons in the weight room, and I usually go after I'm done with the locker room, pool locker rooms. I clean up after the pool locker rooms, clean up the mezzanine. So I usually lock up about 5, give or take. That'll be on Saturday. Sunday morning I came in because of the art guild was here, and somebody had blocked the west door open with a wedge.
Yes.
And so I had a little discussion with the kids in the weight room when I came in this afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, I said, if you're gonna do something like that, cover your tracks better.
There's cameras all over.
Yeah, cover your tracks better, yeah.
Well, I would prefer that they go through Sam and get the key card and let
I
themselves.
think some of them had said they had tried that and they weren't able to get a card. I'm not sure.
Yeah, send them to me then.
Well, I told them, I said, you guys have my phone number. They're always calling me. I said,
No.
you guys have my phone number. I live a mile down the road. You know, I can open it up.
Yeah, we just want to have, part of it is some cost savings with staff.
Right.
And if we don't have to have staff in the building, then we need to do that. And another one is just safety and making sure things are taken care of. But we've gotten very used to this building having total open access, and unfortunately we can't continue with that. Over the July 4th weekend, we're going to close down the building, and that'd be Thursday the 4th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll just close down the building. My schedule is in my report. Board meetings, we've changed our finance committee meeting to the first Monday of the month. So July 1st, we'll have a finance committee at 4 p.m. And then July 15th will be the special board meeting at 5. And then July 22nd will be our regular board working session and regular session. Any questions? And I have one more, since we're almost 10 to 7. On our working session agenda, I do have, and Sam is still on vacation, there is a link for the Minnesota State High School League, and that's more than membership partnership video. I had intended to show it tonight, but I would recommend, since we still have a few reports to get through, that we postpone that to July. Or if you really can't wait, you can always click on the link and watch it at your leisure, and we can talk about it at the July working session. So I would recommend we take that off for now. You can put it in the background as you're watching the Stanley Cup tonight. And so that's all I have, unless there's questions.
Thank you.
Do we have any other ones besides Sheena?
I'm here to,
Well, Joyce is doing Mary Merchants. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I had that.
okay.
I had that highlighted on my
All right.
right in front of me. Sorry, Joyce. So yeah, Mary is not here tonight, but she asked Joyce to come and speak on her behalf regarding her common
So
area.
they went to that class.
Anything you need me to help you with?
Yeah.
You need me to move over so you can put that stuff here?
Oh, I can pull it on here. But Mary asked me to come, and so I'm here actually on behalf of our K through 12 social emotional learning team. We have a group of people: Sam Longseth, Andrina Nylander, Andy Pearson, Amanda Reardon, Lisa Olson, Mary Merchant, and myself. And in our efforts to foster improved mental health and meaningful social and emotional growth for our students, we've created an initiative to establish calming areas that will be located within our classrooms, offices, and other areas in the school. These areas will have a set of materials for tools to be used, and so some of these are the tools that we have. The tools will be used to help for students to use when they feel overwhelmed or when they need to kind of reset themselves. The initiative is intended to provide self-regulation support for students and to increase their academic success. So the goal is to have the kids use the tools within the classroom so they stay in the classroom. And it's meant to be where it's just a short little break for them when they feel like they need it. Last school year, we wrote a competitive mental health grant for calming kits that when we found out we did not get awarded. And during the grant cycle, Sam and Mary both reached out to the staff to get their input on the initiative. And then when we learned we were not funded, that's when we reached out to our community partners and talked to them about our calming areas. and we asked for some support. One of the things that we're looking at is a systemic approach. We're going to reach down to the Head Start and the early learners to have some of the stuff within their areas too. We consulted with a special education occupational therapist specialist at BRIC. That individual has the experience with sensory regulation stuff and also experiences with other schools using calming areas. And so she gave us recommendations on what to purchase, along with recommendations of how to set up these areas within the classroom. We also consulted with mental health professionals because we're going to incorporate a mental health component into our areas. The tools that are purchased will be coordinated by our team of members that I talked about. We'll have a check-in and check-out process with some of our tools, and it's been recommended that we change out tools during the school year, and so we'll have a process of staff sharing and swapping out resources with each other. We're going to start with the younger grades first. The calming tools are recommended to be washable and quiet. We have some visual posters with breathing, grounding tools. We have manipulatives, breathing balls, stress balls, and like I said earlier, the areas are meant to be a short break. Each staff will establish how they want to establish their area, and there's going to be training for staff and students on how to use their areas. And so we also have some tools that will be for student-specific needs, such as noise-canceling headphones. We have a limited supply of sensory cushions, a few toning balls for students. Sometimes when kids get reset by carrying heavy objects, we tape together encyclopedias and have them carry books, old books, and have them carry it around. And so we've purchased a couple of the weighted balls for them to carry. We have a few feet seat bands and also some resources for kids that chew on their pencils and chew on their clothes and stuff.
Her feet seat band, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sounds like you're in a band when you're in their seat.
They are, that's why I brought this up. So they're devices that go on their chairs.
Okay.
And so they can put their feet in, and there's calming sensory stuff with kids when they're sitting in their chairs. So we have a few of these. Not all classrooms are going to need them. They're going to be student specific. So that's what those are.
Thank you.
Yep. And so far we really appreciate the generosity and the support. We have an organization and one individual that have purchased items that in coordination with the cell team. So a special thanks to the Salvation Army for donating $2,600 worth of items for us. And for Nyla O'Connell, she donated 10 noise-canceling headphones for us to use for specific students. We also have had monetary donations given to the school that have been deposited into a dedicated account for the SEL team to use specifically for calming areas. So and for calming for students. So special thanks to Ruby's Pantry, Lake of the Woods Prevention Coalition, Lake of the Woods County, and within the county we got money from Social Services and from the Suicide Awareness Prevention Committee. We got funding from Stellar Human Services, Northwest Community Action, and the American Legion. Today we received a donation from the Women of the Moose, and so that will be reflected into the July board meeting. We also have received notice that Northland Counseling out of International Falls and the Hunter James Nordhoff Be Kind Foundation both plan to support our efforts. So we are accepting donations, and this initiative is going to be only as good as our resources that we have. So I have some examples. I do not have examples of our visual tools. We're going to have posters of different breathing things, different techniques for the kids. Does anyone have any questions or want to look at some of our potential calming areas?
Yeah, something.
Okay, so we have breathing balls. So kids could go in there and they could just take breathings in through their nose and out through their mouth to calm. We have stress balls. We have those calming sensory toys, stretchy toys. They're all quiet. They don't make noises. Another example would be like a mat thing that you push on. Some other toys that they can manipulate with.
And these are all student specific, you said, like a kid would attach himself to one of these devices and carry it around the classroom with him?
No, the things that are student specific would be the noise canceling headphones, which would be kids, we've had kids that can't make it through stuff in the auditorium. You know, we've worked with Sam to have the kids attend events, so they've never experienced volleyball game, for example. We have kids that don't make it through it because it's too noisy. And so special ed kids have special programming where they get the resources, but our general population doesn't have. And so we have resources now for kids that noise bothers them and they can't make it. So that's what that's student specific. The seat thing might be student specific, and the cushions, we have cushions for seats. So that sometimes kids, if they sit on something wobbly, they're better able to focus. Those are the ones that are for students. We have kids that chew. They chew on their pencils, and so there's resources that you can put on pencils so that they're not chewing up their pencils, but they're chewing on something that's much more, friendlier than chewing their pencils. The rest of the stuff is going to be an area within the classroom where the teachers set up. And it's meant to be a short break where they go in there for 3 to 5 minutes. They're staying in the classroom, they're still hearing the instruction, and they can reset themselves and they go back to their desk. So it's not meant to be like discipline, and it's not meant to be, if they're totally on, if they're really dysregulated, they'll be sent out of the classroom, but it's meant to catch it before they need to be removed. So.
And it's really based in brain research and what parts of the brains are engaged when kids are regulated compared to dysregulated.
So will every class have one, or?
We're starting with the younger grades, and so far with our funding, we're looking like, the elementary is going to be, covered pretty good, and then we're going to just move on up into the high school. So, and it's classrooms, and then there'll be some offices. It would be nice for Mary to have some tools in there for kids when they come in. We talked to the health office would be good to have some tools there for when the kids go in. And then you teach them how to self-regulate. I can walk down the hallway and I can see my kids that I've been taught how to breathe because they're doing their skills. And so it's teaching kids how to self-regulate so that they can have more control when they have those big emotions. So.
And it's even applicable to adults.
Oh, absolutely. So
I don't chew on pencils, but I do fidget, so.
So any further questions? So when you hear about calming areas, that's our initiative that we're working on. As the money comes in, that's going to be towards our SEL team that's established to help create the tools for the teachers. The teachers had input. We had a Google Drive where they put input into what they were interested in having. I did not talk to the high school staff, but Mary said it was very well received from the high school. And I know Sam earlier had went around and talked to quite a few staff members, K through 12, when we were writing the grant. So it's exciting. It's exciting to have money coming in. It's exciting to look at developing something that's going to be usable for kids, hands-on. So anybody who wants to donate, just get a hold of us if you want, interested in what specific things that could be given. Any monetary stuff can go right to the school. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Joyce.
Sheen is up.
The kids are still alive.
Oh, I'll explain that. That's for me, actually. I'm sorry. I was like. Okay, thank you. I looked over things today. Okay, so I have a few things to go over today. First, we'll start off with the update for May 31st. We did not have a finance meeting. We'll be doing that next week, so I'll just touch base very lightly on the financials. So in the month of May, just as I had promised at the last meeting, we would get a significant payment from state and the county, which we did receive. So after everything was posted at the end of May, we now have a $693,839 deficit, which is a huge improvement from last month. Jill also informed me that we just received a check from the county about a week and a half ago, so we have over $1 million deposit in the month of June. So the gap is really closing in on our budget. I'm also working on payoffs right now, which I'll post on the 28th. So what payoffs is I'm paying the teachers for the entire summer. And so once I'm able to post that, then we'll have a really good idea where we're at. Two, the month of June is an extremely crazy month with year end. The payrolls are really, really big. There's just a lot going on, just finishing out the year and making sure everything's taken care of. I also updated our insurance rates, so teachers will, so throughout payoffs, the teachers pay their new insurance rates. So I actually have to have it updated. I have them updated right now for just the teachers, but everyone else has their new insurance rates effective July 1st. And so open enrollment was complete. A few other updates. We received portal access from Brady Martz, which kind of helps guide me through the audit process and gets them everything they need ahead of time. So last year we didn't have portal access to it until a week before our audit, so this is great. So I already logged in and I filled out the necessary paperwork needed so that they could have access to our financials at Border Bank, the liquid asset max fund, and anything else they needed. Then once June is complete, I'm able to go through and do a lot more. They have spreadsheets that I'm able to access. I already accessed them, but basically everything that they need me to fill out, I can go ahead and do ahead of time. We haven't scheduled the audit yet, but for the most part it will be remote, but they have promised to come on site for 1 to 2 days. But I think once I get going in getting everything done on the portal, we'll probably have a good idea on when, and especially because we might, get last pick. Usually they schedule all their current schools first too. So for me, I prefer doing it in August before school starts, just because once school starts, it's crazy busy with staff too. So I like to get it done before all the staff comes back. Let's see here. New contracts for 2025 will be in effect July 1st, and then for all the staff that work throughout the summer, and then teachers and paras, bus drivers, any of the 9-month employees or the teachers at the starting of the school year, they'll be in effect in September. And then I indicated the fiscal year end finance meeting is July 27th. That's actually for me, for Region 1, so I apologize for the confusion, but I actually attend via Zoom just so I don't have to drive and lose working time, but which is really nice. But it's just for me to listen to any tidbits from the state. Region 1 does a really, really good job on providing like updates and guiding us through the process and different changes on their end. So as Jeff indicated, we went through all the work of getting property insurance quotes from Valor and then also North Risk. So there was actually a lot of paperwork to fill out with North Risk in order to get quotes. But we feel that it was necessary with making budget cuts just to make sure that we're comparing and getting the best rates. So Valor's been great to work with since I've been here, and we thought the quote was great because we were initially told to expect a 6 to 10% increase, but the fact that we're going to remain stable, and also our deductible is going to go up to $10,000. But even so, even if we had a $5,000 claim, I don't think we would turn it in either, just because we're better off to just absorb it with the way insurance rates are going up. It's been really busy with unemployment, so just trying to keep up with that part of it. So we've been getting letters in the mail, but I just log in and go into our portal and just fill out anything that's needed. So anyone that applies for unemployment just shows up in the portal, and I just have to go through and confirm like when the last day of school was and when school's going to start the next year, and then just everyone's wage. So I am keeping up on that and just filling it out.
Is there a lot more this year?
Yes. Yep, there's already quite a few more than last year, and I've had to just dispute a few. As long as we have their position open, or if that person quit, they are not eligible for unemployment. So I have had to go through and dispute a few things, and they've all came back fine. So what happens is they charge us, but then they give us a credit and remove it. So. Also, with not having an HR on site anymore, I am actually moving to doing, like new hires will go through EASE, which is our insurance enrollment process portal basically. So they're going to go into EASE and take care of all their new hire paperwork. So we had a new hire just start, so he was my guinea pig. So I gave him the access, and he was able to go through and complete most of it. I have a couple forms. I'm not very techie in this aspect. I know Jill is. But a couple of my forms I can't get to be like fillable PDF. So I'm still working on that. But it's great because everything's confidential and I can access it from home. So that at least will just take care of not having someone on site. So any questions on where we are right now? Just my UFAR's expense summary report where we're at. Just an update on our grants. Everything has been drawn. Q3 expenses. For title, next month I'll complete our title draw for the remainder of the year. Okay, and next I will go over our revised budget. So I actually went over our revised budget for 2024 last month, but it actually didn't get on the board agenda for approval. So I actually left all my notes at home, not expecting that we were going to talk about it again this month. But initially, when I did the budget last June, we hadn't received VPK funding in our initial analysis from the state, so I kind of fudged it in because we had submitted the application. We knew it was going to be approved. It just wasn't added into our revenue projection from the state. So initially we had predicted a $115,000 budget, meaning we'd be profitable. In February we revised the budget, just going over what we thought with contracts and everything, and we projected a deficit of $41,168. Last month the revised budget was a deficit of $77,752. So at the meeting next month, we'll have a pretty good idea where we're at. So once we get everything posted through June, I'm really hoping that we're gonna be better than that too, just because we've had a lot of cuts throughout the year, so. Okay, so now I'll go over the 2025 budget. I had included some of it within the packet, and then I provided a budget overview summary. Going through the budget, I went through it line by line, just really looking at the last 3 years, what we've been at for expenditures, what we think we're going to be at. And then I also took into consideration all the cuts that we had. So if you look at Jeff's add backs and adjustments, I went through and I went through all of these things and did my best to make the eliminations and then even add back just in case. IT, I received an IT budget, so we factored that in. We anticipated an enrollment of 415 students. So if you look back to February, we had actually came up with a 2025 budget just to look ahead to make sure where we were going to be, if we were going to be on track. And we had used 418 students. I dropped it another 3 students just to have a good buffer. So we're going to be underestimating our revenue and overestimating our expenditures, just so we're safe there. So then once I recalculated the revenues using the new projection from the state, it actually increased our state aid revenues quite a bit just because it had the new formula built into the spreadsheet, which really, really helped. So overall, the changes made in the budget compared to 2024 is the reduced superintendent salary. So it is now at an 80% FTE compared to 2024. It also includes the new revised contract that we had discussed and looked at, and reduction of benefits. The principal contract was finalized, and it has been split between both elementary and high school. We have the high school social worker reduction, and the remaining social worker is split evenly between elementary and high school. We have the dean of students reduction. Building and ground supervisor position was not filled and was not budgeted for. However, the custodian salaries were increased just to make up for those MOUs that we had for the interim lead custodian, interim lead maintenance, and then an additional part-time building and ground supervisor. And then also within this budget, I included everyone's increased wages for next year. The transportation supervisor salary was increased based on the MOUs and additional duties. Athletic director and assistant athletic director budget was increased based on the MOUs and information. We have the reduction of the district office staff and food service coordinator, but yet I did budget $20,000 in clerical food service, which is split between Diane Lane and Jill Olson. So the budget for that is in food service fund 2. One elementary teacher was moved to high school science. One title enrichment teacher was reduced, and one was moved to voluntary pre-K. Last year, our voluntary pre-K teacher was actually coded under Fund 4, but we moved them to Fund 1 just because that's where most of our revenue is. And then with that, we had 2 paras coded to school readiness in Fund 4 for VPK, and now we've reduced that to 1 para for next year. Overall, there was a reduction in 4 para positions, one of which was a retirement. 1 high school special ed para was moved to title and is budgeted there accordingly. We had a reduction, I already brought that up, the school readiness para. And then 1 media center para was moved to elementary special ed. We have a reduction of $35,000 in subscriptions, and I did budget for a severance in Fund 4 for next year. And we do have more severances included in our set aside too, that the school district committed years ago just to severance.
70,000.
So, yeah. So, in a nutshell, overall, there's a difference of $359,597. So we plan to be ahead next year. Hopefully that'll be a good start for us to continue building our fund balance and unassigned fund balance. I also attached the initial projections from February for our fund balances, and this was factored into the budget. So I just continued with everything that we budgeted in February, and I went through and tweaked everything that Jeff had presented for our reductions and then our bringbacks, basically. Any questions on the budget?
So it looks like that's an almost $700,000 reduction in expenses from Todd's initial.
Yep, and when we had talked about it last year, our goal was to cut $750,000 from the budget, so, yeah, we're staying in line with that pretty well. And I did bump up the expenditure slightly just in case, because we were talking about, adding things back, and I wanted to make sure we had a good buffer.
Well, and I guess my concern was there was some really, really significant cuts that, you worry if you're gonna make, that he did in his projections and that were done in the projection.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like.
So even after I did the budget, and then I compared to what we did in February, and it is really close. It's about a $50,000 difference, so I feel pretty confident in that too. So. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sam's not here. So, okay. And I guess, anything else for the working session? Okay. Gonna take a 5-minute break and we'll be back and then we'll start the board meeting.
Sounds like the rain quit.
It was coming down there for a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna rain like this early, but
Yeah.
it does.
Well, it didn't get really loud, so I'm assuming we didn't get hail. Yeah.
Hopefully no trees.
I'm assuming it would get really loud.
I'm just kidding, I'm staying on the left.
How many people, roughly, Sheena, how many people apply for unemployment at this point? Like, just a round number?
Currently, I believe there was 15 to 20 in the portal. Oh, another thing I did not mention. So the state actually approved our revenue
Unemployment.
again for unemployment for next year.
Oh.
So,
That's summer unemployment.
yes, for this
And
summer,
that's for-
and they allotted us the same amount as last year, so we will lose some because it's going to be higher this summer than it was last summer.
Because we can levy for unemployment, but not the summer unemployment, so that's where the state is picking up the bill for now.
Oh, we're gonna have ESST changes again. Oh, I can't keep track, so I have to start
Because
reading
of
on all the changes they just made. But
I'll never get memorized. Yeah, because there's gonna be the leave where you can take extra leave.
Jeff, explain that again. So we can levy for regular unemployment,
Regular unemployment,
but not for summer
we can levy
unemployment?
for, to get reimbursed for part of it. Whereas this summer, they don't allow districts to levy for it. So it has to come out of your general fund.
Yeah,
And so the state is picking that tab up for someone
For now,
for now they are.
for now.
Yeah.
based on last year's applications or based on,
So that
I
she
don't
said
know, they throw a dart at.
they just give you a lump sum of money that
They
they,
they'll ask districts to kind of give an estimate what they think, but you really don't know
people
until
file.
you know.
is that just a recognition of the fact that they've really put some stress on us to find some money?
Part of that 2.2 billion or whatever historic funding that they forgot to include all of the red tape and extra costs that too much of that wrong with it, so.
Yeah, the 2.2 billion that actually put us more behind the 8 ball than if you just left it alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Everybody ready?
Yep.
7:26, call it to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion and second to approve the June 24, 2024 meeting agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second by Lyon.
Motion by Alice, second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Any board presenters? Written communications? Old business? Right into new business. Need a motion and a second to approve the May 20th, 2024 school board meeting minutes.
I'll motion.
Motion by
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statement.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by
I'll
Trask.
second that.
Second by Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a approval of personnel resignation, retirements, and appointments. Need a motion and a second to approve the resignations and appointments as presented. Resignations, J.D. Stenberg, social worker. Appointments, J.D. Messenbrink, summer custodial maintenance.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Sonstigard, second by Robita. Any discussion?
Dee Dee served the district for 12 years.
12 years.
Thank you.
Yes, thank her. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the superintendent evaluation and contract.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstigard,
I'll second it.
second by Robita. Discussion. Everyone's comfortable with 2 years?
2 years. Appreciate the discussion.
And we've got you here, so you're locked in.
Thank you.
So, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the Minnesota State High School League resolution for membership for the 2024-2025 school year.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Lyon,
I'll second.
second by Trask. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the daycare lease agreements with Jenica Mercil, Treehouse Tots, Lucy Solar, and Mackenzie Labor, Little Kids and Us, Trino Walton, Little Friends Daycare, Kaylee New Kaylee Ann Daycare. Yeah, motion and a second.
I'll motion.
Motion by Robita,
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second for the resolution 2023/2024-37, accepting a donation of $187 from the Wabaunet Lutheran Church for the backpack program.
Motion by Lyon.
I'll second.
Motion by Lyon, second by Sonstegard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then, so do we have to
Filing dates.
do we have to do anything with the filing dates, or is that?
Nope, just information.
Skip over one?
Read it
Okay.
out loud.
Okay, notice of the filing dates for the election to the school board, Independent School District 390 for District 2, District 3, and District 5. They begin July 30th? June 30th?
June 30th.
June 30th, isn't it?
July 30th.
July
Oh,
30th?
I thought it was June.
I looked at it several times.
Oh, I thought it said.
So it's like just 2 weeks?
Yeah,
I mean, I know it usually ends on that August date, but honestly, I don't know
That's
when it
probably
starts.
right, because I think that Soil and Waters is only like 2 weeks.
I was thinking I had to get it into the paper, and then I looked 3 times, and I was like, no, not till July.
Okay, oh,
If anyone sees anything different, tell me.
okay, we will go with July 30th unless told otherwise, but more to the point, it closes August 13th, 2024 at 5 p.m.
Which would be actually probably like 4, because the county closes at 4, right?
Does somebody stay? I'm assuming
Somebody
you
stays
stay
here
here till
till
5
5.
o'clock on.
Or is it here?
It's here.
It's
You
here.
file- You gotta
It's here.
file with Jill.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I can stay till.
either that or we gotta,
Find me in the gym, but.
either that or we gotta change that time, one of the two.
Yeah, that's right, it is
I
here,
don't think
isn't
we
it?
can. I
Okay.
think
I think
it's
it's-
I think it
set.
has to be, yeah.
Okay,
We'll make sure there's someone that can
Okay.
do
5 p.m.
that on that date.
Pretty much anybody looking to be a school board member has to come to the school and file with Jill
And bring $2.
Bring $2.
Yep.
between those dates.
I
Post
need-
something on the website about it. Maybe.
Okay, well, anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on. Moving on. Motion is second to approve the revised 2023-2024 school year budget.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
I'll second that.
second by Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the 2024-2025 school year budget.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the AFSCME Memorandum of Understandings.
I'll motion it.
Motion by Robita,
I'll second.
second by Trask. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item L is a informational only notice of the special board meeting for Monday, July 15th at 5 p.m. in the ITV room. I need a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023/2024-38, accepting a donation of $200 from the Prevention Coalition for the Calming Corners.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023/2024-39, accepting a donation of $600 from the Lake of the Woods County for the Calming Corners.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023/2024-40, accepting a donation of $600 from Ruby's Pantry for the Calming Corners.
Motion by Lyon.
Lyon,
Wilson, second.
second by Sonstigard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023/2024-41, accepting a donation of $200 from Stellar Human Services.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second by Lyon.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023/2024-42, accepting a donation of $250 from Northwest Community Action for the Calming Corners.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis, second by Sonstigard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023/2024-43, accepting a donation of $200 from the American Legion for the Calming Corners.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis.
Second by Lyon.
Second by Lyon. Any discussion?
Do you pronounce the L in that word?
Calming?
Yeah, like he does just there.
I don't know.
It's all right, just curious.
Calming.
You just got to say it like 8 times, that was good.
That shift
Sounds
from-
good to me.
From calming to corners is, I'm gonna mess it up. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I suppose it is calm, yeah.
Calming.
Yeah. Motion and a second to approve the insurance and risk management proposal from Marsh and McClellan / Valor Agency effective July 1st, 2024.
I'll motion.
Motion by Robita,
I'll second.
second by Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Adjourned at 7:37.
July 30th is the correct date. So I messed up in my notes that I sent out. I had some confusion with this.
$2,000 in donations. Where's mine?
What's that?
There's over $2,000.